YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and this is going to be my second and third game against this opponent that I had just played with the Ardiaei last time. So we'll see how this goes. This time he picked Bactria, I picked Macedon. I was trying to kind of just go with some underdog factions here. Now Macedon's not a bad faction, but they're definitely an underdog versus Bactria, and look at the army my opponent brings. You know, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but this caught me off guard. That's spam. And that's a good spam, too. So that's one thing I'll give him. This is a challenging spam that he just brought against me. Not to say it can't be beat, but whenever I'm just kind of expecting your standard thorax sword army from Bactria, I was thinking, you know what, he's going to bring thorax swords, he's got to bring elephants, he's going to have to bring some cav. He'll run out of money, I'll have an easy skirmishing advantage with 4 Cretan archers, and I'll kill his armored elephants. Nope. Just brings Bactrian Noble Horse. So in my last video I mentioned Bactrian Noble Horse. These guys are OP, period. I mean, it's the end of the story. For their price, they're just too dang effective. If you look at it, that 85 armor, 80 health, 60 morale, that's huge. There's no other cav unit at this price range that's anywhere close to these guys. And then their weapon damage is 4 points higher than most cavalry too. Most cavalry have it at 32, theirs is at 36. So I mean, that's fantastic. 42 melee defense too is a pretty high statistic. Like, I'll just give you an idea. My Aspis cav here has lower melee defense than the Bactrian nobles, and the same armor. Yeah, so I mean, for massively more cost than this Aspis cav, it's like 400 more cost, same armor. I get a little more health out of the Aspis cav, and a little better morale. Of course, better attack, but yeah, I mean, better defense and equal armor from the Bactrian noble horse. Sorry, I had to sneeze. At least I got the mic muted for you all. But yeah, that just kind of gives you an idea again. So even though the Aspis cav is kind of better, it costs a lot more. The Aspis cav fights with swords. The Bactrian noble horse fights with spears, which means that they have a hidden bonus versus cavalry. So again, making them even more effective. Bactrian noble horse just need to have a price increase, in my opinion. Now, they do not have an encourage aura, so I don't want to see their price increase massively, but I think it would be good to see their price increase to, you know, probably 950. Right now they're at 840, and I think if you pushed them up to 950, it'd make them a little more expensive. These guys are just dang good. They're really good. And like I said, this is a smart spam on the part of my opponent. Why is it a smart spam here? You've got pikes. You can just pike box. Theoretically, yes, I could. And my Cretan archers far and away outmatch his Persian light archers. You can see that I'm actually dealing them the business pretty hardcore. But the problem is I'm going to have to spend a lot of ammo. There's only going to be a few of my men left, if any. And it's not going to be enough to take out his elephants. Well, again, Air, you can just pike box. It's no problem. We'll see. The problem is I can pike box, but I can't make a very big one because I've only got 5 levy pikes. And it's not going to be easy to fit my units inside that pike box. I could, but again, I don't like pike boxing. It's kind of a last resort. It's definitely what I should do here, is pike box. I just hate doing it because it feels, I don't know, it just feels kind of crummy. But it is a last resort that is certainly feasible in the right scenario. Yeah, you can see my Cretan archers again. They're just better attack, better reload, better shots per minute. So, I mean, they really wail on Persian light archers. You can see that it took him a whole, like, whopping 8 of these guys to even start to bring down 4 Cretans. And the cost differential is pretty big between a Cretan and the others. But it just shows you how much better they are. They're good archers. But numbers can sometimes overwhelm that. Like I said, right now I'm wasting ammo. I'm running out of options. My opponent can easily defend his archers. I can't so much easily defend my archers because he's got cav everywhere. Yeah, so this army was really just meant to make my opponent want to outflank me, force all of his units to the flank, which would have given me time to shoot his elephants with my archers. And then I was gonna, like, if he, you know, my initial plan would have been if he would have brought thorax swords and started moving to each flank, I would have just held him with my own swords and then swung my spearmen around the back of him and pinned him. So that was going to be my plan. Never know if that works because my opponent brought this this different kind of spam army here. I'll go ahead and fast forward. We'll get forward just a minute. My opponent's got me where he needs me here. I'm going to go ahead and spear box. I again, hate to do it, so I'm going to put my guys in a nice thick spear box. I don't know that his Persian archers do have a considerable amount of ammo left, which is a serious problem because they can kill my levy pikemen. The rest of my units, it's kind of like, hey, they're just going to have to do their best, fight to the death, and we'll just see if my spear box does. So a big mistake I made here, though, I should have got my general inside the spear box. That's going to be important. So if you're going to make a pike box, definitely keep your general alive, especially when you're using levy pikes, because see right here, my opponent mobs my general, who was in a shield wall formation, which, you know, kept him from taking a lot of losses, but I just go ahead and leave him there still. I'm trying to leave my sword units as like a fixing point so I can try and get my cavalry to get more kills, but here comes my problem right here is the armored elephants. These guys can be held up by heavy cav, but only momentarily. You've got to kill them. And my opponent's got them in this nice wide formation where they'll engulf a cav unit and screw them up. Yeah, again, you can see him charging in, getting hung up on my Royal Peltist, going for my archers. Wants to just kill the last bit of them, so it's no worry. Got my little pike box waiting in the background. But, yeah, just kind of watch what happens here. I decided to try and hold his elephants for a second with my Aspis companions, and I try to get an attack order in for my Cretans, but they're being threatened still by this Bactrian noble horse, and my Aspis companions get torn up pretty bad on the charge, really bad. They'll hold out for just a few minutes though, and there you can see I'm putting in some heavy shot on his guys, but again the Bactrian noble horse just keeps pushing towards my men. They're hard to stop. See how easy it routes a citizen cav, and now my general routes, and with the fear effect from the elephants, my opponent just takes his elephants on a rampage, and this is the problem with this. So, and then look, I've already got pikes routing up front because of the fear effect. I mean, just the fear effect just completely destroys my men. Again, got my pikes here, but it's not going to matter. My pikes are going to rout. You can see the morale damage already being inflicted on them. I'm having to close my pike box up. My opponent's trying to avoid a head-on charge while he finishes off my swords and cavalry, but again, with these elephants around, just no hope. My guys are dead. Aspis cav routes, thorax swords routes, just instant rout. Elephants behind your men, especially armored elephants, which are pretty much unstoppable except for arrows. And you can see that causes the rest of my men to just constantly waver, and there's no saving them. My pikemen just keep routing. So, anyway, you can see how that finishes. So my opponent totally spammed me here. Now, does that mean I want you all like, what a spammer, what a jerk? No, I mean, he picked an army that was clever there that I wasn't expecting. Now, if people did this every time, it would get pretty annoying to play online, but I don't mind this kind of thing every now and then because it teaches you something about the game. Like in this case, that's something Bactria can do, and that's one of the reasons why Bactria is a power faction, because they can do stuff like this. So, I mean, having all those archers, how are you going to get to them? You can't. You're not getting through 8 Bactrian noble horse and an armored elephant. You're just not. Now, the archers themselves wouldn't be a big danger to really heavy infantry because they don't have heavy shot. Not the Persian light archers, at least. The elite archers do, I think. And again, you can see my Cretan archers took their toll on these guys, but that was the whole purpose. That's why he brought so many of these guys, so that I wouldn't have enough missiles left in the end to kill his elephants. And his elephants didn't even get a particularly large number of kills. It was just the morale effect. My general got killed because I should have had him in the pike box. That would have made my pike box considerably stronger to have my general inside, so it was a big mistake. Big mistake. Anyway, that was battle 1, and so I actually got matched up against him again right after this. And so I decided to try a little version of his own medicine. He picked Macedon. I picked Seleucids and brought a somewhat similar army, but see, again, this is going to help demonstrate the differences between Bactria and the Seleucids. Seleucids have armored elephants, they got the Persian light archers, but the Median cav, for instance, much cheaper than Bactrian noble horses, like 220 talents cheaper. But again, look at the stats. So the lower 32 attack, only 35 melee defense instead of 40, only 60 armor instead of 80 or 85, whatever it was, 10 less health, and 10 less morale. So for 220 talent increase, totally worth it to get the Bactrian noble horse. Completely worth it. That's huge. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to try basically the same thing on him. And he's brought a pretty similar army to what I did last time, actually. I don't know if he planned this or what, but yeah, so I planned to counter spam him, just to give him a feel for his own army. But the army I brought isn't as good as my opponents. I should have just brought Bactria. And I brought these camel spearmen too, because I'm like, yeah, I'll scare his cav, get them out of the fight quicker. So that was my basic goal. So I'm going to do the same thing he did to me, except he actually brought more Cretans than I did. He's got full-on 5 Cretan archers. So he's got more than me, which is good. He's going to need them. But, so you see what happens here? Let me show you what's happening. My opponent used a different strategy on me. He had enough men that he could take his time and skirmish with me. I decided to do the same thing with him, and I just screened with these slingers just to get the Cretans to fire at something first to get my Persian light archers in. And that works, and it's good, and I end up killing most of his Cretans. But see what my opponent is doing here? He's still in a big long line with his pikes, and he's only got Citizen Cav on this flank, which is weak. He's got an two Aspis Cav over here, and that's where I've got my elephants. I should go ahead and attack my I should go ahead and attack my opponent's Aspis Cav here with several units. Just put a couple of units up front to hold him. Come over here and destroy his Citizen Cav as well, and then I should fling the Camel Spearmen clear around the back and force his archers to either stay in front of his pikes or to be behind his pikes. And at that point I would be able to kill them. And then that way I'd kill his archers early, and then while he was trying to form a pike box, I could get into the fight. So you know what I mean? Start an engagement. If he moves his pikes to try and intercept, I should be able to hit him. So in this case, my opponent was much more patient with his spam army, and I'm much more... I'm being patient here too, kind of almost recreating what he's doing. See here how I forced back his archers? That was on purpose, just to get them to quit firing for a second. And look, he turns around and starts firing at my Median Cav too for a second. So yeah, I just start engaging him. I can beat his Cav, it's no problem. But see, again, my opponent's not formed a pike box yet. He just hasn't. So what I should have done, so see right here how I go back into the back of these Aspis Cav? Huge mistake with the elephants, huge mistake. I should have charged straight through these archers and then kept these Camel Spearmen right here. Keep the Camel Spearmen here. And then when I bring the elephants around, I threaten a back charge on these pikes, and then if they turn to face the elephants, I slam into them with the camels. One way or the other, you start taking out the pikemen. And then when the rest of them start to form a box, just start charging in. And see how I forced his archers back from both sides? My Median Cav is destroying his. And you see, again, look, boom, pike charge, or back charges. This is what I should have been doing right here. I just got overconfident. I kept thinking this whole time, like, yeah, it's no problem. I'll just take out his Cav. Just take out his Cav. My opponent has more pikes than I did. I only had 5 pikes, which is not a very substantial pike box. My opponent's got 7 of them here. That's a considerable amount more. So yeah, I'm making some huge mistakes here. So you can see the difference in the way that he used this spam and the way that I'm using it. Mine was just, of course, more just for like kind of comical revenge here too, because he did it and it worked so well on me. It was pretty clever. Well, I say that. It's not terribly clever because Bactrian Noble Horse is, you know, it just is what it is. It's one of those really strong units. Here he turns his pikes around. And see, this is why at this point I should take the archers into the back of his levy pikemen. But I'm still trying to focus fire on his Cretans because I don't want them to be a threat to my elephants. Another mistake I make here is I start focusing on his general with all kinds of units thinking, yeah, I can surround him and knock him out. I shouldn't have focused on his general until my elephants were over here, because now I'm wasting Cav unnecessarily on this Royal Peltis. See how it's racking up some kills? This is a waste, just a waste. So I mean, I've made so many mistakes in this battle, it's not even funny. But yeah, that's why obviously I don't want to show you this, because it's kind of embarrassingly bad what I did here. And some of you will be like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. You know, it's a spam. I don't use this kind of stuff very often. But again, see how my opponent's still not pike boxed, and I'm still not taking advantage of it. So like right here, I should have brought this Camel Spearman here to threaten him in the back, and then I could have threatened him from this side with this Median Cav. All you got to do is just crunch it, but now it's too late because I've let him form a spear box, and I don't have as many archers left as he did. So this means that I'm not really going to be able to pick open one side of his spear box. He's just got more pikes left, and you can see he's going to kind of layer it up here. He's going to have like a small inside, and then he's going to layer some pikes on the outside of it. So he'll have kind of a small inside like this, and then he'll layer some more pikes on the outside of it, so that if I do kind of break through one spot, there'll be more pikes waiting behind it. So this is a smart pike box, the way he's doing this. See that? How he's got a line in front and a line behind. So even if you penetrate somewhere, it's going to be really hard to do anything with it. And again, I do have some archers left, and I'll use their ammo. I finally routed his general, but I mean, way too many losses in the process. Should have never done that. So I go ahead and back up, and I bring up my Persian light archers, do some shooting. His Cretan archers are still here. They still have ammo, which is, again, I should have mopped them up better during the fight. But yeah, now you can see my opponent is completely in place. This is a weakness in his pike box right here. Now if I killed these guys, he could turn around. I do start shooting his men in the back. And he had him at a pike formation for a minute, so I just test him to see if he's going to put him back in. Obviously he will. But it's always worth testing something like that. If your opponent makes a mistake, you can take advantage of it. Get rid of the rest of his Cretans, then I'm just going to fire what ammo I have left. Again, I don't have enough to make a hole in his pike box, which means eventually I'm going to have to charge it. And where his men were bunched up down here, I think, you know, I don't know precisely why he did this. Maybe because that's the side where my elephants were at. And again, another mistake, should have never come from that side with my elephants. Because he was all bunched up there, I should have swung my elephants around to the other side and tried to maybe punch a hole right here. And then if he tried to reform, that would have been the perfect time to charge. I think that, you know, remember how my guys just like chain routed last time? His guys do not, and the big difference is because my general had just died. His died a little while ago before I did this, so the morale effect from the general dying was fresh, and I do get his men to the point where they almost chain route, almost. But the problem is my general died, so his men stabilized. So a huge difference between the two battles, and I really botched the way that I engaged this. I'll do a little better right here, because see how I kind of tagged this pikeman on the edge of its phalanx. So I got my Azet Knights and some Median Cav, and he has to try and reform to beat it down. And then here, he reforms just for a second. I'm able to plow my elephants through, and this just very nearly turns the battle around for me. But my opponent's able to react, and one of my elephants dies, which was terrible luck, but it is what it is. But see, he had enough pikes that he could still try and turn around in certain spots, and I'd already thrown away most of my army. That penetration with that elephant is what I needed. It was just too late. Wasn't enough. So I got more kills with my elephants in this battle than he did in the last one, but again, the morale thing was different. He killed my men right after my general died, and so that's why my pikes just chain routed. His, I waited a while, they stabilized, they had their flank more secure, I didn't attack him the right way. So I mean, there's just all kinds of mistakes that I made there, all kinds of mistakes. And see here, he's just going to keep defending his back with pikes, and it's just too late, he's got too many men left. So, yeah, kind of interesting. My opponent spammed me. I tried it back. It didn't work. That's probably because I'm not typically a good spammer. So, yeah, it's kind of a clever army what he did. And I think I could have won that had I changed the way I did a few things. Again, if I would have been more aggressive early on before he had gotten to that pike box and done things right, I could have totally gotten him here. But kudos to him for doing a better job defending against it. But, I mean, to be honest, again, if I had the Bactrian version of it here, it's also quite possible that he wouldn't have fared so well, because the Bactrian Noble Horse is considerably better than Median Cav, considerably better. But the reason I did this is because I figured if I picked Bactria, he might be more suspicious of me picking his exact same army, so I did it with the Seleucids, trying to create a similar build. Obviously, it wasn't as effective. The Camel Spearmen were a waste. I could have beat his Cav anyway. No point in bringing the Camel Spearmen because my Elephant already does the scare effect. So 800 talents wasted there. Should have spent it on more archers. And imagine how different it would have been if I had more archers to pick away at his pike box there at the end. Plus, I would have killed his Cretans faster. So again, it makes a big difference. So just be careful whether you're spamming or not. Consider your army. And right there, that was a bad consideration. It just was. That's all there is to it. Bad consideration. So yeah. Anyway, fun games with my opponent. Hope you all enjoyed these. Obviously, I wish I would have played a little better in those last two, but hey, you don't win them all, and it's no big deal. You can always learn something from it. So whenever you're playing, I think the thing to learn here is whenever you're playing Bactria, be aware that someone can bring that type of army. It doesn't mean they will, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can prepare. See, that's one of the dangers of Bactria. You don't know what to prepare for, and that's one of the things that makes them so strong. Their sword infantry is not spectacular, but it's solid, it's stable. And it can do the job. Now, to be honest, I think one of the things that would help balance out Bactria would be to get rid of their Thorax Swordsmen and maybe give them a slightly improved version of Hillmen. Like, so if you got rid of their Thorax Swordsmen, all of a sudden that changes the entire dynamic of Bactria. Because that Thorax Swordsman is a really good unit for them to try and protect the flank of pikes and stuff. They would then have to rely on other units like scaled Thorax Hoplites and stuff that aren't near as good. So I think if you did that with Bactria, that would be an interesting deal to take away their Thorax Swords and give them like maybe a 500 talent version of Hillman that was, you know, kind of a sort of a replacement. Then again, a lot of people disagree with me, and I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm just saying that's one of the reasons why Bactria is powerful. It's not just the fact that these Bactrian Noble Horse are a really good price, because they are. These guys are a fantastic deal. Again, it's like Avocati Cohort. They're such a good deal that why would you not take it? Is pretty much the thing. So that's one of the issues. And it's not game ruining or anything else like that. Most of the time people don't bring 8 of them. Again, my opponent was just trying to bring kind of a clever army there, and it knocked me out. Knocked me the heck out, because these guys are tough. So watch out for Bactria, watch out for the Seleucids. Again, you kind of have to get an idea for what these guys can do to know how to defend against it. I did a pretty poor job of defending against it here. My opponent did a better job in the end of that game defending against me doing it, and got a lot more mistakes out of me. So hope you all enjoyed that one. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.